Hello and welcome, friends. Thank you for tuning into the Optimal Health Program. Hope you're all doing well. Today, we're going to talk about a variety of things, how low vitamin D may increase your respiratory infection risk by 33%. Pretty amazing. We'll also talk about the exercise that gives you your best results and outcome. Sometimes too much exercise is a drawback. And night owls may have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, affecting their circadian patterns and rhythm. If you'd like to call in to ask a question, I don't even remember the phone number is here. It's 888-420-9272.
Oh, funny enough, Doc, right before you got into the studio, I got a call.
You did?
The number went off, and I missed it because I didn't understand. I'm like, where's this phone ringing coming from? But someone got ahead of us. All right?
Could be. There are some sharp people out there. We've got a great bunch of listeners, and we're really happy to be on such a wonderful program. And as we've been talking about, we're hitting over 200,000 views on Saturdays, which is amazing. And I think onwards and upwards, we'll be putting some little reminders for people that watch during the week to watch the Saturday program, call in, ask their question, etc. So we anticipate that we're going to be super duper busy with our Saturday show, even beyond. So I must remind the family that I'm on the podcast because they're texting me. You'd think
they know by now,
or they're watching. My friends, hey, what are you doing? Like, I'm on the podcast. Someone remember. Okay, so let's talk about vitamin D. Vitamin D is a critically important vitamin. It always has been. We've been looking at it and testing it for the better part of 40 years that I've been a physician doing this thing. A big study started in Italy years ago, and it went on for, I think, 2 decades, talking about vitamin D and how low vitamin D increases the risk for all sorts of cancers. And you could look it up online. Go to Google Scholar, look up vitamin D and cancer risk, on and on. You could even go to ChatGPT, because I did this once, the first time I tried ChatGPT. I asked it to give me a 2-minute discussion on vitamin D deficiency causing cancer risk with medical citations, and it went through the entirety of it. Within a split second, I had all this information. So the literature's there, and there are a lot of respiratory infections that have been bouncing around for years, of course, but this is a great study. Talks about how vitamin D improves immune response. It's great for your bones, decreases hospitalizations when your levels are really good. Despite the importance of vitamin D and everybody hearing and knowing about it, up to 1 billion people worldwide are vitamin D deficient. Now, I'm not sure how they come to that number. I see people that are deficient all the time. I think it makes sense. It's probably higher than that because there are people that probably live in remote areas and don't get, nutrients or don't get sun, etc. And getting sun is not going to give you tons of vitamin D unless you live by the equator. We have people that live in Florida that come up as patients, and they get a lot of sun and they're tan, but their vitamin D never gets past 40 or 50. So we've got to get it close to 100 to have all the most significant benefits. So that's why we track vitamin D in all patients. Beyond bone health, cardiovascular health, brain health, immune benefit, decreasing cancer risk, American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 36,000 participants in the UK Biobank, age 40 to 69. So pretty fascinating stuff. If you can keep your D levels at that higher end of normal, 80 or so, you'll do significantly better. We're going to talk about a relatively new thing we're putting together. A gentleman that I work with in Florida who's a genius with coding and AI, etc. We'll give you a little bit of tidbits here and there. We're working on making a platform where people can enter their prior blood work, recent, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, put that into this platform realm. AI would review it, and based upon parameters that I want AI to understand, give you a good explanation of what your blood work looks like. And this is, certainly for people that don't go to the doctor, don't have a doctor that does vitamin testing, maybe anywhere in the country that certainly doesn't have access to this. So vitamin vitamin recommendations can be made, exercise recommendations, just discussions about a variety of things, peptides. Telehealth visits will be available. So either myself or my PA, Nurse Prac, can get on and talk and chat with you and, et cetera. So we can also, with that, set up the remote patient monitoring. A lot of different things can be done, but it's a great way for people to actually learn about what their blood work means and what it shows. So I like the idea of using the AI modules because they can look at things, quickly. And when you look at vitamin recommendations, we talk about recommending things into the 80th percentile of normal, sometimes higher. So the AI would have that in mind. So it's pretty amazing that we're able to do all of this. And it's exciting because then we can help a great deal more people with vitamins, minerals, hormones, really everything, all through telehealth, et cetera. So we're excited about it.
A couple questions we got in the tank while you were going over that. Someone said that why is vitamin D often said as a hormone, not just a vitamin?
Because it has properties that go beyond just a vitamin property. And the stabilization of bone is more of a hormone effect than a vitamin effect. The immune benefit, cardiovascular benefit, bone strength and stability, all of the different things that vitamin C correlates with are beyond just being, I don't want to say a regular function, but beyond being just a vitamin function.
Another question, which cancers show the strongest association with vitamin D?
So the way that study started back in the day, I think one of the first studies in Italy was looking at breast cancer. And they saw that when vitamin D levels are low, there was a much higher risk of breast cancer. And then different facilities started to like the idea of doing cancer research and vitamin D. And what developed was a meta-analysis where 50 institutions and then more, I don't know the exact full extent of how many, but they sort of got together and said, hey, let's all do research, put it together in a big study called a meta-analysis, and we'll show the benefits of vitamin D and the drawbacks of the deficiency. And what they came up with was that the vitamin D deficiency increases the risk of all cancers by 77%.
Jeez.
So, and here's a good comment about where in the range you'd like to be for vitamins. So a lot of people I see, everybody I see today, and in the last probably 5 or 10 years takes vitamins. Nobody comes in and say, yeah, I don't care about vitamins. I don't take them. Everybody takes them. If you look at going back 40 years, some people did, some people didn't. They didn't know, what should I do? How do I do it? And we sort of schooled them and showed them how to do it. But when people take vitamins on their own and they say, oh, I'm taking a lot of D, I'm taking 1,000. It's not a lot. And when we showed them their blood level is at the low end, we say we have to raise that. We raise it up to 5,000 units a day, sometimes a little bit more. Retest, oh, you're at 80 now, 85, 89. That's great. Stay right there. So we know exactly where to put you to keep you in the best area of the range. And based upon your exercise and your brain function, et cetera, your metabolism, what your body needs. That's why the vitamin recommendations have to be specific to your blood test. The vitamin industry is a $70 billion industry. But when you look at it from my perspective, a lot of people are taking things that are not creating a result for them because they don't know they need to correct their D or their C or their beta carotene or their other nutrients. So it's important to understand what your requirements are, meet those, and then a little some above that to get your best result.
Just some AI comments. How is AI actually being used in medicine today? Not 5 years from now, but right now. Is this all available now?
So right now, and for a few years, I have a iPad Pro, and the mechanism, the program for my electronic medical record, which is in the computers and the iPad Pro, and the nurse's station computer, et cetera. Patient Now is very easy to use, very easy to create pages or outlines or templates rather So I can just put the information in there. It's all perfect for the visit that I want to do, or the recommendations for peptides or vitamin IVs or vitamins, etc. So it's very, very easy, very nimble. On the other side of the split screen, the patient now is on the right, electronic record, is Freed AI. Freed is, from what I can see, one of the best medical dictation AI programs. And if I'm sitting with a patient or talking with them on the phone, it gathers our entire conversation and puts together a perfect medical note. Much more perfect than any doctor could write or type, as I see it, because it gives us the subjective and, a patient's history, subjective, objective, assessment, recommendations, all of that in a perfect form, and also puts the codes specific to those complaints or conditions. So it's really a super easy, super thorough way to be able to create that medical note. I think they're using it for a wide range of other things, but right now, for me, I think that's the best part of the picture. The other comments to make, too, that there are newer devices coming up. So we speak about remote monitoring, which I think is genius, where you get a ring or a band or a blood pressure cuff, a glucometer, maybe a watch, because some of these watches now are being approved by FDA and Medicare, that can gather data and send it to you. If I want to use AI to compare that data to 100,000 or 1,000,000 other people, that can be done. So you can see, based upon all the people in this age group, this age group, this age group, what are their blood pressures? What do they look like? If their blood pressure is too high, then this is a significant outcome, potential. So there are a lot of things where we could use AI as a comparison to data that's already been documented. There's a relatively new device, not approved yet, but it's like wearing a set of glasses where the sidebars would read your speed of your brain waves, just one parameter. Good test. But once you do it and a report's made, that's based upon tons of other people that have had it done, and you're getting a comparison to other people your age, older, younger, et cetera. So there's a lot of beauty in that. All the data and the comparisons, they're really important. So it gives us a good idea as to what your body's doing and what we need to try to fine-tune and fix. Besides the fact that it can create protocols. For example, if I have a patient that's hypertensive and they are on the RPM and we sent the blood pressure cuff, we're on the way to getting them the ring or the bracelet to look at all the other markers, and we say, okay, if a person has this blood pressure and we're looking at these things, this is how often we do the blood test, this is, looking at vitamins, which vitamins are improving the picture, patients doing a low-carb diet, they've lost a little bit of weight, that's brought the blood pressure down by 10 points, so all of this, can be gathered in the AI data collection portal. So it's sort of like saying if a hypertensive patient were to come in not on this plan or 5 or 10 years ago, if you see them 3 or 4 times a year, you have 3 or 4 blood pressure readings. Maybe they'll take it at home 2 or 3 times a week. Here, with this device, every time they do your blood pressure, every day, you do it yourself, we get all this information. So we're getting a year's worth of blood pressure readings. If we see that the blood pressure is going up, we call the patient, we test them for magnesium, potassium, they're deficient, we correct it, pressure comes down, boom, hit the mark. Quickly, easily, almost immediately, because if the pressure starts going up, I get an alert. So it's a lot better than a person having issues that they don't feel or understand and ending up in the ER for a $100,000 ER visit and potentially other things that they may or may not want.
One person just commenting that they wish there was a situation where you didn't have to prick yourself to check your blood. One day, maybe.
There are devices that have come out, and I've spoken to people about this, similar to that glucometer thing you put on your arm and it reads 2 weeks of your blood sugar.
Right.
The Freestyle Libre or the Dexcom. You may be able to put something on your arm, and with a little automatic injector prick. It's looking at some components of your blood test. It wouldn't do everything. It's not going to do heavy metals. It's not going to do vitamins. It's not going to do a lot, but you want that information. For people that want to understand what their heavy metal exposure is, we do urine. So blood and urine. If you don't want to do blood, you can do urine, and urine gives us a bigger picture. So maybe someday.
Someday. So someone, I guess, from one of our previous shows said, "Give me the brain scan, doc."
Brain scan's cool.
Someone else said, "Hey, doctor, I've been thinking about bringing my wife in for stem cell therapy. She has Parkinson's.
Sure.
Is April a busy month for you?"
There's always a spot to do stem. And for people that need to do a phone call first because it's easier and get their blood done at a local lab, either way, I like meeting people and seeing them in the office, examining them, explaining everything, showing them, charts and diagrams and models of things. So February's not crazy, not as of yet.
April?
Yeah. April's not crazy as of yet. We try to tell people, remember, try to plan it so you can get your consult done sooner, blood work sooner, and then review your blood work, and then you can pick the day to do the stem. So we're there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Saturday are typically easier days. Traffic's not significant for most people. But yeah, certainly give us a call. We'd help you out. You can ask for Tom at the front desk. Because our Parkinson's patients do really well with the stem. It's a combined protocol, too, because heavy metals are a major part of Parkinson's. That's been documented for many years.
I got some comments. They won't stop spraying, doc.
Yeah. Someone's got to be able to get that to stop because there's aluminum in that. And a lot of people that have aluminum exposure end up with dementia, memory loss, and Alzheimer's. So, yeah, there are these suggestions as to who's behind it, and I believe it. But there are people who want to decrease the population and want to create infertility so people can't have kids. For the life of me, it doesn't make any sense because there's more than enough room in this world to have people live and exist, and with good things happening, and with what I would call a better mechanism. Countries will be able to help and take care of more of their people. So I think that more people should take it upon themselves to grow their own food. Even if you have an apartment, get the garden device. It grows the food inside with lights and automatic watering. Fine-tune and fix all of the good things that you can fix. And you're not going to be affected by spraying when you have the vegetables grown inside your house. It's one good idea. So, we have to adapt to what we're finding out. We're finding out a lot of bad stuff, but we have to adapt to that and try to fix it.
I work indoors on my laptop all day. Am I basically vitamin D deficient by default?
Not really, because even if you didn't work indoors, if you worked outside all day, you wouldn't have vitamin D levels of 80 or 85. Nobody really does. The only people that we get to those numbers are the people who take it. As I mentioned before, people that live in Florida and usually get a lot of sun and tan, when I've seen their blood, their D levels don't go past 40 or 50, so we have to go beyond that. We know the greatness of the vitamin. We just need to get you to that great range.
Looking forward to where AI is going to go to detect early dementia and other cognitive decline in the future.
It's already started. They're using AI to detect cancers. They're using AI to look at all the radiologic tests. I mean, doctors that are not secure in their own skin or minds are going to be a little bit uncomfortable with it, but if you're a radiology group, why wouldn't you want to have AI look at all those radiographs, x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, and then have the doctor read it? And if he agrees, he agrees. If he doesn't, then you could fine-tune or whatever. But it's just a great idea.
Yeah.
It's just a smart mechanism. People say, and I've spoken with people about this, if you look at what doctors had initially, it was a stethoscope, a device to look at your eyes, your ears, looking down your throat. You didn't have a lot, and blood work was kind of sparse, way back in the day, 50 years ago and more. And new blood work has evolved over many years, and we have a lot of great stuff in testing now. Years ago, we didn't have echocardiograms or carotid sonograms or CAT scans and MRIs and such. And now we have all of these great technologies which help us make a good diagnosis. And new technology and, procedures where surgery is done robotically, and there are advantages to that. So in the medical realm, I think more so than anywhere else, you're going to see AI be a major, major benefit for that.
Got someone in the chat that says, "Don't lie, doctor. You love it because you have less paperwork."
Well, I got to tell you, I held off on doing the electronic medical record for a long time, and I would just use charts. Charts are easy. Handwriting is horrible. But the nimble, comprehensive, easy nature of the electronic medical record didn't exist, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and so many changes have been made to make it really easy to use, effortless. So I decided to do it. And there's really no paper. We have a top sheet that we use for patients where the staff up front would print it out. It shows the demographics, info, etc. And I use that to circle the type of visit and to do a check on a vitamin shot, a D shot, or an IV, etc., or for peptides. And that goes to the staff. They set that up, but everything that's done is done through the dictation with myself and the patient right into the computer. So it's saving a lot of trees. It's making my paper exposure really nil.
We're in a new world, Doc.
Yep, navigating a new mechanism that I think is already bringing us to a greater place, a far greater place. Because there's so much more in terms of technology, so much more that we can understand faster, better. I think it's the mechanism for this, for medicine, is all good. It's amazing.
And I'll say, as the human race, we're at this point where everything's digital, nothing's physical. I will say we never perfected the printer as the human race.
Yeah, that's true. Printers are always a problem.
I don't mind. We're skipping right through
whether
that.
the Wi-Fi thing is not working with the printer, whether the printer computer is not connecting or communicating, it's always a problem.
Nightmare. We got someone in the chat. YouTube said, "Can AI eventually just stop telling me to stop eating junk food with the authority of my mother's voice?"
We could train the AI to have your mom's voice. I mean, you could do anything with it, really. I think that people have a great respect or connection to AI, because a lot of people that I see that are using it, and from what we've looked at in other demographics, people like to tell AI all sorts of things and like to hear this really good, pure recommendation as a result of it. And people trust it for the most part. You have to double check it, but people trust it. And I think if there's another voice or another document or something else that's engaging with you to be able to help you change your diet and lose weight, that's great. I think it'll be an advantage.
Crazy times.
Yeah. Anything that gives you a little bit of extra support, whether it's a weekly comment from AI, and this is also something that's built into the remote monitoring, contacting the patient, texting, "Hi, how are you doing? Your blood pressure looks great. Your weight's coming down." The connection with AI, along with the doctor, nurse prac, and PA, is amazing.
This is one I missed from before. What vitamin D blood level do you consider optimal for cancer prevention?
Vitamin D really should be at 85. A lot of the literature talks about that. The range is 30 to 100, but I think if you stay up at 85, I think that's good for a wide range of things. Now, one vitamin alone does not change the entire world, but you want to eat right, exercise, not eat the junk food, not smoke, not have too much alcohol, etc. You want to put your body in such a place that your immune system becomes strong with vitamin D and other vitamins, that the exercise is flooding oxygen, vitamins, minerals, and hormones to all your cells. So you want to do each of these things to help to make your body super strong so you can fight these things if they decide to pop up. That's part of what we talk about with the Stay Strong plan, where we evaluate you and then put together recommendations to have your best levels of hormones, vitamins, and minerals, not just having a positive. Because if your thyroid T3 is supposed to be between 70 and 180, and when you're a kid, you're 170, 180, you get older, you keep dropping. If you're 71, yeah, you're in the range, but that's not a great range or great area in the range. Some days you might be in the 60s, and some days you might be in the 70s. But if we can get that 72 to 100 or 120, you're going to have better function. You did when you were younger and had that. So we want to walk you back to where you had these vitamins, minerals, and hormones at a younger age.
It's amazing that I went my entire life thinking that vitamin D was able to be obtained by just going into the sun for a couple hours. Amazing.
Everybody still thinks that. So we're told all sorts of things by the traditional realm and specialists and blah, blah, blah. But without proving that, what do you have? Nothing. And for 40 years, 6 days a week, I've seen people say, oh, I'm taking this, I'm taking that. My levels are good. Well, what's your vitamin D level? Oh, my doctor said it was good. I said, do you have a portal? Oh, yeah, I'll pick it up on the portal. I'll show you. 33. That's not good. That's 1 point above being low. So people are told to downplay vitamins, and no one's talking about the best range and where that vitamin should be for your best outcome. This is what we're talking about. This is why through the AI mechanism and the blood review idea that we've come up with, we want it to be that you can get the best recommendations. Probably the majority of people that I have not seen anywhere in the country wouldn't know what the importance of the vitamin range and where you should be in that range. And overwhelmingly, doctors don't test you for vitamins and minerals, so I'm sure 90% of the country doesn't ever get vitamin blood testing done. We can do that. So if a person puts in their blood work and we review it, and if they want to do a telehealth and chat, we can set that up. Only then with that telehealth can we legally write a prescription so that within a month you could recheck your abnormals and prove they're good. So that's the most important part of the process. Evaluate, understand, make a recommendation, and then prove that that's come to the perfect range. That's where you ideally want to be.
We got a viewer that said, hey, Doc, did you ever fix your QR codes? Hey, listen, we got them.
Yes. So there are a few QR codes coming, and apropos to your comment, we have a QR code now we can pop up. That's for the Stay Strong program. This talks about how we evaluate you, et cetera. Then we can put together recommendations for the RPM, the remote monitoring. So it's a variety of things. Although the landing page is good, it's not perfect. We have another landing page coming up on stem cell therapy. We have another landing page coming up on the blood testing that we do and how you might be able to access that. Landing pages right now are the big thing because they're easy. It's just you click and you see. And you could read and understand. It doesn't take any effort at all to do that. So it just allows us to give good, succinct information about each of the topics so you could read it. You can give us your info, sign up, click on, email us, call us, tell us to call you, however you'd like to do that. We can set that up. Makes it simple.
Oh, we're ready. All right, what do we got here? I think I took care of everyone's questions thus far.
Good study here about night owls may have a higher cardiovascular risk. So this is an issue, not a great issue for night owls, but it seems that interfering with or turning upside down the circadian rhythm and patterns, even things including sleep apnea, could really risk your body for cardiovascular issues. Circadian misalignment, they call it, and circadian rhythm changes make it hard for your body to repair itself. And similar to people that have sleep apnea, when they don't get good deep REM sleep, very similar, the risk of cardiac diseases, arrhythmias goes higher, atrial fib goes higher, heart attack is higher. So although people like to be the night owl because they think that it's a good thing, there are studies that show it's not. With looking at some of the functional scores, night owls had a 79% higher risk of the vascular score, which is not good. Now, again, there are many components to vascular issues. Maybe you're not a night owl, but your vitamin levels are low, or your homocysteine is really high, or your heavy metal burden is really high through blood or urine testing. Those are all big risk. Look at the cardiovascular panels, Lp(a), C-reactive protein, all of that. Viruses. Those are all parts of the cardiovascular risk. You want to look at that. Especially when you get into your 30s.
What was that?
I don't know, Sirius piping up something.
Got someone that said, this isn't fair. I didn't choose to be a night owl. The night owl chose to be me. I understand.
So, yeah, I mean, it depends. So I think that some of the literature shows that, disrupting the sleep pattern doesn't allow you to heal as well as if you're, sleeping for a more significant number of hours. You can go back and look historically, when man first popped up, roamed around the earth, you woke up when the sun came out, you went to bed when it was dark. You ran around and you gathered food, you made fire, found some animals, found some dinosaurs. There's an amazing comment and a few things that I've seen about the coexistence of men and dinosaurs.
I've seen this too, Doc.
And I'm starting to not believe a lot of the stuff that we were told over, many years, because there are paintings back in the 15, 16, 1700s where the term dinosaur didn't exist. But in some of these paintings, there were dinosaurs in the painting. How does a dinosaur exist in a painting from that time unless they're there? If they were gone for 100 million years, nobody back then would have been able to draw or paint a dinosaur. They never saw what they looked like.
True.
If you saw bones, you're like, oh, yeah, bones. You couldn't have a decent depiction of what a dinosaur looked like.
Whoa.
There were no pictures of these things.
Whoa.
So how can you paint dinosaurs? And you can look that painting up. It's I've seen it online. How did dinosaurs and humans coexist? You look at the painting. How does that happen? Maybe they're wrong. So I'm a little skeptical until I have absolute proof. So I like the idea of having.
I like this little.
Did you see that?
Rabbit hole, yeah.
You see the picture of the people, and the dinosaur in the back?
Yeah.
You want to split screen that?
It might take me a little while to get it over,
okay.
But interesting.
Evidence in the 1800s of people that were giants, 12 foot, 14, 15 foot people, bones, all taken as Smithsonian and apparently hidden. So there's a lot that, is not being told. Gives you something to look at, gives you something to read up on.
Interesting. And then it's also interesting. I'm sure you've seen that in, all these beautiful Roman Michelangelo paintings, there's like UFOs in there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
ever seen that?
Yep, I've seen that too. And then in all the Egyptian hieroglyphs inside tombs that hadn't been, opened, or some that have, going back to 4,000 years ago, there are pictures of flying saucers or what look like helicopters. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe, we're missing something we're not being told.
I'm thinking you're right, Doc. Chat's loving this little tangent we're going on.
Oh, yeah, we can run all over the place.
It's never just medical,
We like that. One of the other comedians, I think, or there are a couple of people that are on Instagram, and I see some of these things, and there are people that are, creationists versus, Darwin's theory of evolution. One of the funniest statements I had ever seen, and I was laughing for an hour, was Ben Carson, who's a genius and probably one of the most skilled surgeons ever, because he would operate on a fetus inside the womb if they had a heart defect. I can't begin to tell you how difficult that would possibly be. Microsurgery, nowhere near where you could touch or see, but etc. Genius of a guy. Unbelievably intelligent, highly regarded. And he was talking, and someone asked him about, evolution versus creation. He says, well, I believe in creation, and I think there's so much more evidence for creation than evolution. And he said, some people believe that they came from a swamp and everything started in the swamp. And he said, well, if you believe you came out of the muck and the crap of the swamp, okay, then maybe your family did. And the person was bewildered. He goes, yeah, if you want to think that you came out of the muck of the swamp, that's fine. Maybe your family did. Then there are other interesting comments on creation where some of the kids that are at these, university schools are asking, is it Cliff Connectal or what's his name? Big, tall, skinny guy. And another gentleman who's a highly regarded historian was saying, look, it's as easy as this. If you see a building, there was a builder. See a bridge? There was a builder. If you see something, you know that something was there to make that. Just extrapolate that out to the millionth degree and the complexity of the human being, someone had to make it. A building is simple. Walls, floors, you can make it 100 different ways. But how complicated is it to make a building? Not that complicated. Skyscrapers, yeah, of course. But a building, a school, a track, anything that's man-made, you can see that it was made. You may not see the person who did it, but there was a builder who did it. And then it was funny because the young girl's looking at him going, and then the light went on and it hit her. She goes, oh, wow, yeah. She goes, okay, I believe you. You're right. I was like, well, it's good to be,
Wow. Yeah.
to think about spirituality and God. And I'm sure a lot of the people on LFA and certainly on Rumble have a great perspective of God, and from different types of religions and backgrounds and different components. I think it's great because religion gives you a moral compass as to what to have in your mind as thoughts, good thoughts, projecting them on other people and helping other people, etc. So I think that's very important. And there are a lot of different religions in the world, and I like those that are the ones that are all about, peace and helping and taking care of other people. I came across a few people the other day, and a couple of patients, and they were talking about one group where they have a gigantic prayer chain. And for all the people, they send out prayer intentions for people so that hundreds and hundreds of people, and sometimes thousands, are able to pray for people. And I think that's a major, major benefit. So, and my patients will talk to me and thank me, and they pray for me and my family, and I pray for them. And, it's just a great thing to do. When I go to church Sunday, I wonder if I should mention, there's one young priest who makes analogies to Harry Potter after he talks about the gospel. So, I find everything funny and I laugh at everything, but I just thought it was kind of funny that the sermon afterwards was talking about what Harry Potter did and what Harry Potter. I was like, wow.
I wish I was there for that one.
I mean, yeah, I was laughing as quietly as I could, which wasn't easy. But I love the idea of prayer chains, and I think that we should have it. People should do it. If there's a way to create that awareness here, I would do that in a heartbeat and pray for people who need the prayers, whether it's mild or whether it's more significant. For example, my mom's going through an inflammatory, mechanism right now. So I would ask anybody and everybody of the 200,000+ people that, watch the program to pray for her. I ask people to pray for my friends or my patients, and some of them who have really bad circumstance. I ask for, prayers for them. So I think it's an important thing. I think it has to be part of your life. I think it makes your life great. Sometimes I'll go to church on the way home from work because it's quiet, it's empty, nobody's there, it smells really good between the candle and the incense. Sit there, say my prayers, and then I'm able to go home and, take care of my crazy dogs. So I think that's a great thing. And if there's a way to start a prayer chain, if we could create something like that between our viewers, that would be terrific because, prayer in numbers like this would be spectacular.
Here we got a comment here. Mary from Queen says, just want you to know your mom is going straight onto my prayer list tonight. Strength to you and your family.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You started up.
I've had patients that had really, over many years, difficult circumstances, and there are patients in my practice that I know are very religious, and they work at the church, and I tell them, and they put people on a prayer list. I think it's a great thing. I think there's no reason why we all shouldn't do it, or there shouldn't be a gigantic way to have a nice, big prayer circle, prayer chain to try to help people out. I think it always helps, always works.
Very sweet. Sending prayers, good energy, and love your way. You've helped a lot of people. Now it's coming back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Always do. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Which type of physical activity will help to prolong life? The takeaway from this big study in many thousands of people is that it has to be a variety of activities. This shouldn't be that much of a surprise, because if you just walk around the block at a slow pace, you're not really going to get anywhere. If you go slow, brisk, fast, keep moving around a half hour, keep raising and lowering the speed, that's better. If one day you do that, and the next day you do an indoor bike, or Pilates, or yoga, or go to the gym to do weights, or elliptical, or treadmill, or whatever you want to do, the more different things you do, the better your body will do and the better the outcome. So in a perfect world, you want to have a variety of different things that last at least a half hour or so. The Nurses' Health Study, and a section of it had 173,000 participants, and they were looking at walking, jogging, running, cycling, rowing, tennis, swimming, yoga, cleaning the house. No, it doesn't say clean the house. But it says that doing a half hour of these things makes a very big difference. And then you don't want to go to 2 or 3 hours of the activity because it may just be too much and you're depleting your vitamins and minerals. So you have to be very careful with the amount of activity you're doing and whether or not you're doing too much and you're creating, a little bit of wear and tear. Do you have a tissue here, Frankie?
I'll get you.
Of course, my nose is running. It's warm in here. But I think that if you every day did exercise, and you can switch back to you, every day you did exercise and you're getting your blood vessels to dilate, open up, get a lot of blood flow in, get a lot of vitamins, minerals, and hormones to your cells, then you're getting a great deal of oxygen, getting everything your cells need, and you're maximizing your metabolic picture. And then if you keep doing it over time, what could be high blood pressure would tend to drop because you have a lot of blood vessels ready to open up. If you're in stamina, your blood vessels open up beautifully. If you're not in shape and don't have stamina and endurance, your body's not going to quickly open your blood vessels and lower your pressure. If you lose your weight, you bring down weight, your blood pressure comes down. So there's so many benefits to it. But the idea is that you want to do a half hour nonstop. Some people do it first thing in the morning. Some people do it in the afternoon. Some people do it in the evening. But find a bunch of different things that you like and do every little thing. You know, there are times when I would go for really long bike rides and just go crazy with it and up and down hills. Of course, you can't do that in the winter. But you can do things indoor. You could do, when the weather's nicer, things outdoor. Swimming, you know, pickleball now, I think people say it can be vigorous depending upon who you're playing with. But do as many different activities as you can.
Just got a comment here. It's amazing how quickly exercise starts improving my mood. Truly incredible.
Oh, yeah. I tell a lot of people that if we had a camera on your cells in your brain or your heart or your lungs or any other part of your body, and you did the exercise and you saw how much is flooding in, you'd understand, yeah, immediate oxygen delivery is going to give you energy. If you have great levels of NAD, you'll get a lot of energy because NAD converts oxygen into ATP. So we always look at the NAD as a peptide add-on. If you're getting more magnesium, potassium, even glucose, or the B vitamins or D and all of these things into your cells, that's what they feed on. That's how they work. Your cells don't feed on chemicals and junk from foods. They're damaged by it. Your cells feed on vitamins. And why is a food a good food? Probably because it's got a lot of vitamins in it. Everybody says, you know, squash is one of their favorite. It's great because it has more potassium and minerals in it than almost any other plant, any other vegetable. So you want to have acorn, butternut, spaghetti squash, all of these things, pumpkin in your diet. And year round, you should be having those vegetables. And then keep testing your vitamin levels to make sure that 3 or 4 times a year, your levels are in perfect range.
Someone said, oh, you mean all the things they told us to stay away from as children?
Yeah, it's amazing. They've made fat the villain, and there's a lot of discussion about this. They've made fat the villain, and now research is describing how they made that research, manipulated that research, and the people that have had the fat in the diet, if you look historically from different populations, it's not the problem. Initially, they said, oh, look at the French. They eat all sorts of brie and fatty cheeses. Well, yeah, they're not eating junk. They're not going to fast food places. They're not eating as much sugar. But yeah, you do need fat. Fat's great for your brain function. And I think the fats are better and protect your blood vessels better than what the sugars and some of the metals will do. So, but we'll talk about that more and more. People that have done the Atkins diet for many years, I knew Dr. Atkins extremely well. I think it was a wonderful doctor, rest his soul. The Atkins diet got people to burn fat, lose the weight nicely, burn down cholesterol, decrease cardiovascular risk. But traditional medicine hated him, you know. That's what happens. They don't want anybody else playing in their sandbox. But the low-carb diet has always worked extremely well.
Comment here. It's amazing how fast I lose my muscle in my 50s and 60s when I stop being active. It is brutal.
Well, so think about being in your 30s and your testosterone's 800, and your teens and 20s when your testosterone's 1,000, 1,500, or in your teens and 20s, your IGF-1, the active component of growth hormone, being at 1,000, 1,500, you're invincible. You could run marathons every day and be fine. When you get to your 30s, 40s, then 50s and 60s, you're not maintaining those levels of testosterone or the IGF-1, and to some extent, thyroid, DHEA would be low. So when you start to drop all of those hormones, you're losing that ability. You're not continuing to create that strength. In a perfect world, if we fine-tune your vitamins, minerals, and hormones, and you're doing all the exercise and weight training and cardio, you look like $1 million. There's a patient that comes in every month or so, really charming guy, Vincent, Italian guy. He's always tan, good looking, you know. he could be, walking out of some modeling magazine, and he's in unbelievable shape. Six-pack stomach, good arms, chest, legs, works out every day. I think he's going to be 78 or 79 this year. But you look at him and you think he's 65? Great shape, works out every day, eats perfectly, takes his vitamins every day. You'd never be able to know his age. When he goes to the gym, young people go to him and say, hey, show me how to do this, or what do you think I should be doing? So he's always telling the young kids what to do. Like, how do you look so good? What are you doing? He works out every day, and he eats great every day.
And then there's me.
It's just a matter of putting the key components in place, and then everything falls back into place.
What do you tell your patients who say they're too tired or too busy to exercise?
Well, we have to figure out why they're too tired. One of the things that's an absolute connection there is NAD, because NAD converts oxygen into 36 molecules of ATP. Now, as you get older, NAD is lower. And with 1,000 people we put on NAD, and probably more than that over the years, when you do the NAD injectable, where you're getting the liquid NAD, it's 100% delivered. People within 50 minutes say, wow, my memory, my focus is good. I'm alert. I want to get up and go. And they want to do the exercise. We see this all the time. If your NAD is low, your testosterone is low, your IGF-1 is low, you're not going to feel that good. You do some exercise, you don't get the result because you're too low. You bring those up, bring up your vitamins, all of a sudden it's back and you're ready and you're there. So that's typically, your brain has to lead the rest of your body, but your brain's got to meet its requirements.
Got a comment. Does chasing 3 children around count as cardio? I think
Absolutely. I would never say no to that because the hitmen would be at the door. Yeah, so any amount of activity, chasing after kids. I remember when my niece and nephews were young, and they'd come over, 2 from Florida, 1 locally, and I would watch them for a half hour while their parents are going to do something or go out shopping. I'm like, oh my God, this is so intense. It's like I'm using all my concentration to be able to watch and try to keep track of what they're doing. When they're very young, they're just running all over the place. So it's not easy until they get a little bit older. They get a little bit older and they understand what a $5 bill, a $10 bill, or a $20 bill is. I would sit at my house, relaxed by the pool. Dogs would be out, and the kids would be, sitting, jumping and running around in the pool. I said, look, there's a really good game we could play. The longer you play the game, the more money you could make. And they're like, really? I said, yeah. I said, you have to be as quiet as possible and just whisper. If you do that for an hour, you each get $20. So, I started them off on a little bit of a career learning the value of money. And they did it. It cost me a lot of money, but because for 3 hours they were quiet.
That is so good, Doc.
But it worked, and I was able to take a nice nap by the pool.
Oh, that is amazing. I lost my questions. Hold on. Is strength training more important than cardio as we age?
It should be a combination of both, really, because the strength training keeps you able to open jars and do your daily activities. You don't want your arms, forearms, upper arms, chest, back, legs to become weak and you lose function and ability. You want to keep working those things so you maintain that. And you want your hormones and vitamins there to maintain that. Cardio is important as well because it helps to keep the blood vessels dilating, floods nutrients and oxygen to your cells. Maybe a little bit different than the weight training, although both of them will do that, but you need both. For some people, they like to have lightweight kettlebells at home. And there are a lot of kettlebell exercises you can see online. And lightweight kettlebells, you bring the kettlebell up front, you can bring it around one side, bring it around the back, shift it around so it's working your abs, bring it around your neck so it's working your shoulders. So there are bands you can do to get your arms stronger. You don't have to be heavy-duty stuff, but if you buy a few things for your house, it's a good idea because when the weather's bad, you don't feel like going outside. At least you can, do your own exercise in your home. There are a couple of devices. One that fits on a wall. I think it's called Tonal.
Oh, yeah. Yep, tonal. I know what you're talking about. The mirror-looking thing?
Yeah, so it's up on the wall, and you could adjust it, and you can do chest and arms and all sorts of things. It's a great idea. So you can do that at any time, at your leisure. So I tell people, always have something you can do at home. So if you can't get out, if the weather's really bad, you could do it. But do something every day.
Someone's just asking what your thoughts are about the new generation and the ability to have a good posture because they're always playing video games.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of things to say about the new generation that are different than the previous few. I think posture's changed a lot because there's not that same physical activity that they'd either do after school or they would do in other circumstances or join a basketball club or a baseball club. And I remember you had all this stuff happening and we played every sport we could, around the neighborhood. When people aren't doing that, your body's losing strength. Testosterone levels have fallen by like 50% over the past few decades. And whether that's chemical exposure, cloud seeding, the bisphenol A in the plastics that people are drinking water and everything from. There are probably a lot of reasons why that's occurring, but they don't have the strength, stability, memory, focus, concentration that prior generations had. I think they don't have the same drive or perseverance or desire that prior generations had. Of course, the people who came over initially and our grandparents and people before them, they lived in circumstances that were not great and they wanted to have a new great existence, so they created it. They were really thirsty and hungry for that. But diluted generations, they're not thirsty or hungry for anything. If the parents are doing really well and kind of spoiling the kids, then they just don't have that desire to get up and go and to do things. So I think that that's an issue. And posture's part of it. Now, again, when I go to the gym, I see a ton of young people in the gym. More so than ever before. When I used to go to the gym years ago, it was more 30, 40, 50-year-old people. And now you see a lot of kids that are definitely high school kids and college kids, and they're doing a lot of different stuff that was never done before. Girls are doing squats. They're doing all sorts of different, bench presses and different things. And some of them look like in phenomenal shape. That's great. I think that's terrific. Some take it to a really big extent. I don't know that that's necessary. But the more that you get fit and the more that you work out to create that, the better. It's sort of the combat against the kids who are eating horrible and have gained so much weight. And the obesity scenario in this country is gigantic, more so than almost anywhere else in the world. But thankfully, people are getting back to the gym and they're doing the exercise. And guys and girls are going together. And guys always go with guys, because that's what we do. And now girls are going together. You'll see 3 or 4 girls working out on the same machine. Of course, I don't want to say they'll take forever on the machine.
But they take forever.
It's hard to get on the machine until they're done. But it's good. The more they do, the better.
Yeah, someone's saying it's both positive and negatives of social media because all the kids want to compare, their muscles with their friends, but then there's also the people that are just getting really fat on social media. So it goes both ways.
Well, I think that some people need a little bit of a push. And in all the years I've done this, when people see what their blood work shows, they're like, oh, I didn't know my cholesterol was that high or my vitamins are that low or my this or my that. And it gives them something to chew on, for lack of a better term, no pun intended. They sit there, they think about it, and they're like, all right, maybe I'll do this and see how it works. I say, look, This is what the blood work shows. Let's recommend the vitamins for you. You could do a B12 shot, see if that gives you energy, and then tell me how you feel. Write down day to day, week to week on a symptom checklist how much better you're doing. And people start saying, you know what, I feel better. I have more energy. I went for a walk. I felt great. And when you correct other things, they say, wow, my exercise now propels me forward. I feel great from it. My muscles feel great. My body, my skin, everything feels great when you get done with your exercise. That's where you want to be. And then people don't stop doing it.
Got one viewer that said that they took care of all of their cardio screaming at the Bears the other day.
At Bears?
I guess football related. Not very
Yeah,
good.
pretty much. I just sit back and watch. I just want to watch good games. Close games. Make it exciting. Although I think it's rigged.
Everything's rigged, right?
Yep. You should write a book, Frankie. You and I will write a book.
I have.
Everything is rigged.
I'm with it.
Everything is rigged. Trust us. By Doc and Frankie. That could be a big seller.
Hey, I'm with that.
Our amazing LFA and Rumble audience.
Yeah, and they say
Might
that.
like a book like that.
Yeah, well, they're saying they'll buy that book. We'll put it on the LFA store. All right, guys? You in for that?
Yep. Why not? It makes sense. What else do we want to touch base on? Certainly you can call the office to ask questions, and we could answer them, hopefully. 516-794-0404. The website's drcalapai.com. But as you know, we're putting up some QR codes. Let's pop that up again. And you can go to the Stay Strong page, look around, scan around it. There's a lot of additions we're going to make to that. But in essence, we're trying to put together a unique, never done before mechanism so that we can teach people what their body's doing based upon sequential blood tests, fine-tune their vitamins, minerals, hormones, get the good exercise on board, recheck the blood to make sure that we've corrected those vitamins appropriately and hormones, and create dramatic and significant improvement in your health. This is not, what do they say? This is not your grandpa's Chevrolet, or this is not your
something like that.
grandfather's whatever. This is not your grandfather's old-time doctor thing where they didn't really test much or teach much. We have the ability now to look at so many great variables and then change so many things. So it has to be based on your life, your blood tests, your existence, your exercise, your stress levels, everything, your age. Put that all together and then create strength, stability, and going forward, make your body a much stronger mechanism. Mentally, spiritually, I tell people, whatever your choice of religion is, whatever your different type, connect to it, practice it. If you'd like to meditate, pray to God, do that. Do it every day. If you'd rather go to church to pray, like I do, I'm going to go to church on the way home because it's empty, it's quiet, no babies crying behind me. That's my thing. I'll just sit there and pray. It's nice, smells good. That's what we should do. Get a prayer circle going with your family. Get friends involved. Get together with your best friends. Do all the good things that you used to do before COVID that seem to be missing and lacking, because that's all part of having a good, strong, healthy life. Having your favorite people around you, getting your mind set and straight, getting your prayers going, exercise, all of these things. You want to build the best life for yourself. They say that you want to die young at a very old age. Well, yeah, that makes sense to me. But work at it. Fix and add and fix every good component of life. If you need to go away, go up to the mountains for a day or a weekend, go do it. Need to go for a walk on the beach, go do it. You can't let time pass so much so where you can't say, well, when was the last time I sat down and did nothing for a weekend? When was the last time I just went to relax and did nothing? Sometimes you have to have that. So the more stresses you have, the more you have to work against the stressors by using things that help and repair your body. And never has it been more important than now. because there's a lot of bad stuff we're exposed to in foods and chemicals. You've got to look at all these things. There is an app that someone showed me the other day that looks at chemical components in foods. I'll have to find that. I'll go on the phone as soon as we're done. And we'll tell people about that. So you can see if Joe Schmo's water or, food product is safe or not, if they have something in it that you don't want. I was watching something about chicken. I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, that if the chicken says it's in some sort of water, that means they bleached the chicken to kill germs that sat in bleach or something.
Yeah.
Residual water. So there's all these little terms that they use not to tell us what they're really doing. It makes you wonder. I looked at something the other day too, and I do a snapshot every time I see something that I like to, keep in my head, about some of the candy now has all sorts of arsenic and garbage in it. Don't have candy. If you want to make your own candy, if you want to make your own food, make your own food. Get the garden, make your own vegetables. Go to places that have really healthy organic food, produce, meats, Moolah Farms, Molosky's Poultry Farm. There are places you can go to and just get really better quality stuff. Get the organic V2 milk, not the regular milk that you might buy at any regular supermarket. Just keep adding all these good and healthy things on board. You'll feel better. You'll see it. Put all that together. And again, my whole crusade is to get your blood tested for vitamins, minerals, hormones, all of these things, and maximize your health with all of that. So coming soon, and we'll keep adding to this, will be the things that we're able to test for, some new blood tests coming up, the remote monitoring with the band, the ring, glucometer, cuff, spirometer for breathing. Maybe a good watch down the road, but we're trying to see what's going to get approved by the FDA and Medicare. And typically that RPM mechanism for Medicare is all covered. Medicare wants us to do this. They're pushing us to do this so we can protect people from having bad episodes that pop up, end up in the ER. At some point, there's going to be a chair you sit in that reads your circulation, and you could wear a pad that does an EKG, sends it directly to us. Any abnormality, I get notified immediately. If you get on an exercise bike and you're wearing the pad, it's like a little stress test, all from your own home. So it's genius. If I'm getting a patient who's hypertensive, they come in 3 or 4 times a year, it's 3 or 4 readings. Maybe they'll track it for a week or 2. With these devices, when you check your pressure and the reading's done, you press a button, it's in the computer in minutes. So I have 365 readings of your blood pressure. That's genius. Same with whenever you check your blood for your blood sugar. Same with arrhythmias, same with breathing. So it creates such a great connection between the doctor and patient. You really have the chance to fix things better than ever before. So that's why we're so happy with it. And soon we'll have that platform where you can scan your prior blood work in and then take steps from there. Whether it's the AI review, which will be part of that, setting up a telehealth visit so we could talk, or reviewing blood work down the road, etc. We're putting that together for you, for everybody. So we hope you like the idea. Once again, pray a lot, prayer chain, pray for your family, pray for my mom, pray for everybody, whether they're having a rough time or not, because it's good for your soul. And we'll be back on here during the week. Are we on 5 o'clock during the week for the other shows every day?
Yes, sir.
So Monday to Friday, we're on at 5 o'clock for all the shows, some new and some of the ones we've done previously. And then every Saturday here at 2:30. So we'll keep working on this for you and bringing you info every week. God bless you all. Have an amazing day. And look forward to talking to you. Call the office, email, text.